The following program is brought to you by Bruce Telecom.
Special guest here this evening with us, Ms. Sydney Morris, and it's a pleasure for me to get this opportunity to recognize her for her outstanding achievement at having received the Earl Terry Scholarship in Voice, which is a very prestigious scholarship. And I've had the honor and pleasure of hearing Sydney sing a couple of times in the last couple of months, once at the Remembrance Day ceremony at SDSS, where she did a beautiful rendition of Bring Him Home from Les Miserables, which I think brought the house down for the most part in tears, and also she was the voice of the Light the Way campaign not very long ago too, and sang there in Jiggle. So she's been around the community lots and doing lots of singing. We've all had the opportunity to hear, and it really gives me a great pleasure to have her here tonight. So Sydney, would you come up and I'll present you with this? Okay, and with that, we will begin the meeting at 1/2 the hour. Thank you all. Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this Committee of the Whole meeting of the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores, and welcome the committee and all members of the public. We're glad you're here this evening. The first item is disclosures of pecuniary interest and nature thereof. I'll ask any member if they have a pecuniary interest they'd like to declare. Being none, of course, you can declare one anytime if you need to. We have no additions or deletions, so that moves us on to delegations. We have 2 delegations this evening, and I'll just friendly reminder to both of our delegations this evening that your delegations are 10 minutes. We're going to do our very best to hold closely to that timeline. If you do happen to run up against the 10-minute timeline, I'll give you a gentle reminder at that point and ask you to wrap it up, but I'm sure that won't happen. So with that out of the way, we'll welcome our first delegation, which is Al Robertson, and he is 7 Acres Director of Security. Welcome, Mr. Robertson. The podium is yours.
First, there we go. Great. Thank you very much, Mayor Charbonneau and council members. Some faces I do recognize here from our facility tour I think 3 years ago now we've established, and just to thank you very much for inviting us here tonight to help you give a little insight. You've got a pretty important decision to make in the next week on whether you're in or you're out. So it's but by the look of your poll results, they look pretty favorable for in, but that's your decision to make. We're just here tonight to help you with that. I said my name is Al Robertson, and with me tonight I have Jenny Posthumus. Jenny is a Saugeen Shores resident. She is our communications specialist at 7 Acres, and with her is Nicole Sale. She is the director of strategic communications with our head company at Supreme Cannabis Company in Toronto. So they're here to help me tonight with any questions that you may have that is out of my realm. So just to tell you about myself, my name is Al Robertson. I was 32 years with the OPP. I never dreamed in my lifetime I'd be standing in front of a council of any kind talking about promoting marijuana of any kind. So it is a change of career for me, but I'm happy to be here. The government has decided it's legal. So as the OPP was saying was, as the times change, we change with them. So for the last 4 years, I've been with the company since 2014. Was hired there to set up their security systems. But I just want to let you know that I'm not here, and we're not here in any way to promote the consumption of marijuana in any way, but we are here to promote the safe and legal source for cannabis consumers to be able to obtain their cannabis. First, I'd just like to tell you a little bit of a story. We'll start the slide as I got it right. Pointing right. It's just showing 00. There we go. That was okay. So just a little bit about who we are. So 7 Acres grows a high-end cannabis crafted by people with respect and passion and innovation in our facility in Tiverton, Ontario. 7 Acres is a flagship brand and wholly owned subsidiary of the Supreme Cannabis Company. Like our carefully raised flowers, we nurture our employees' career paths with care, admiration, and respect to ensure both their and our success. We offer livable wages combined with full-time positions, benefits, and room for advancement within the organization. And right now, there's lots of room for advancement for young people in the community. Community engagement. Since opening our doors in 2014, we have grown to a team of over 350 employees from the surrounding communities. We have invested over $80 million in our Kincardine facility, using local trades and vendors wherever possible. And just our municipal address is Kincardine, but geographically we are as close to Saugeen Shores as we are to Kincardine, and as many, if not more, of our staff live within Saugeen Shores as they do within Kincardine. We engage with local community to support over 50 events annually, investing over $70,000 on a yearly basis. We are a proud member of the Bruce County community and committed to giving back. We strive to be an ethical, generous, and caring business. In all our interactions with our communities, we demonstrate our commitment to our values. 7 Acres mission and vision is, our mission is to grow great cannabis at a commercial scale, and our vision is to be Canada's leading supplier of high-end cannabis flower. Our values are respect, innovation, leadership, passion, and community. Our current, what's going on there right now, and our current expansion plans is, as of December 2018, we have 19 licensed flowering rooms. Each one of those flowering rooms, for some of you that certainly haven't been there on the tour, each one is a 10,000 square foot room and produces approximately 3,000 plants per crop year round. And in December, as of December, we're in excess now of 350 employees. By June of this year, our plans are by mid-June of 2019, we will have fully grown out to our 30 flowering rooms with 500 plus employees. We're not sure where we're going to find them from, but we're going to get them here and get them living in our communities. The future, 2019 is going to be a very exciting year for us. Our flowering rooms are going to be completed in early 2019. We'll be at full capacity and staffing to be reached in 2019. And with an estimated up to $300 million in revenue with 500 employees. Hopefully by the end of this year, we'll begin our Lot 16 project, which will bring another $30 million in revenue and up to another 150 new jobs. Lot 16 is the property that's adjacent to our current facility. We've purchased it, and we are planning on constructing another 150,000 square foot indoor growing facility on that property. So your question tonight is certainly to do with cannabis retail stores in our community. Cannabis retail stores will create many jobs and contributions to our surrounding area. It would be a missed opportunity to disallow legitimate brick and mortar retail businesses to not open that are looking to contribute to the local economy. Cannabis retail stores will offer education to those wishing to experience cannabis but do not have the knowledge to purchase products online. By opting out, consumers will travel to other neighboring jurisdictions to purchase cannabis. removing any economic upside for Saugeen Shores. Cannabis tourism, also known as Canna-tourism, will be an additional draw to our municipality and is poised to become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Visitors to the 7 Acres facility will be directed to our surrounding communities for shopping, dining, and other cultural experiences. Why support? One of the main reasons is to deter the black market. Cannabis retail stores are 100% legal and will be closely monitored by the AGCO. Cannabis retail stores across Canada sold more than $43 million in product in the first 2 weeks after legalization in October. Cannabis retail stores are the best way to curb the black market. If accessible in your jurisdiction, you will be able to source your cannabis locally and legally. Cannabis consumers want to buy their cannabis legally. They don't want to be looking over their shoulders. By opting out, consumers will continue to support the illicit market, which in turn makes cannabis more accessible to youth and supports the ongoing black market drug trade. The local dealer is often not just selling cannabis. You already have 2 main sources of cannabis here in Saugeen Shores. One is Canada Post, is delivering online purchases directly to the consumer's door. The other is the illegal personal source or the dealer that consumers have. They're here and always have been. Why support education? Cannabis retail stores will offer a regulated, controlled environment for consumers and provide education. Knowledge is the best way to protect public interest. The OCS is actively working to develop new roles such as product knowledge, training, and social responsibility to govern retail stores throughout Ontario. Opting out does not mean opting out of consumption. Why support? Consistency. Each municipality having its own bylaws can create confusion among the public. 7 Acres would like to extend their support in regards to harmonizing use across Bruce and Grey counties. We would like the opportunity to have a roundtable discussion on how we can help and support standardizing regulations within our municipalities. And we do have people at our work that are experienced in marijuana, so if there's certainly good ones to come and get some advice from. 7 Acres will continue to strive for transparency of our organization and offer any assistance needed while transitioning to this next stage of legal cannabis. Oh, sorry, back up. Cannabis in our community. 7 Acres and the Supreme Cannabis Company strongly support the addition of retail cannabis stores in Saugeen Shores and are excited to see retail stores come to Bruce County. And we will do our part to support the success of local retailers. The municipality of Saugeen Shores has been instrumental to the growth and success of 7 Acres, and it would appear to be contradictory to support one of the largest scaling licensed producers and not support brick and mortar retail stores. In our opinion, the positive economical impacts, potential to curb the black market, and educational benefits to the community are positive opportunities and exciting. Seven Acres retail store is not on there, but the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario's cannabis retail store licensing regulations dictate that the holder or the affiliate of the holder of a cultivation, processing, or nursery license issued by Health Canada under the Cannabis Act may not submit an expression of interest application to the lottery. That's the lottery that was held last week. We were not allowed to submit an application in there. At this time, we are exploring all options for 7 Acres retail plans. We would love to have a store there and support it, our own product that we're having there, but we're not allowed to at this time. So it's 7 Acres is one of the fastest scaling licensed producers, selling our product in 7 provinces across Canada. 7 Acres was recently recognized as a Brand of the Year at the 2018 Canadian Cannabis Awards, recently held in Toronto. I believe it was in November. It's like the Academy Awards for cannabis across Canada, and we were recognized as Brand of the Year. Our surrounding communities should be proud to open retail stores and sell 7 Acres products locally. Thank you. If you have any questions at all, we'd between myself and then Jenny and Nicole, we'd certainly be glad to try and assist with your decision.
Thanks for that, Al. Looks like there are some questions. Councillor Mayette, did you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Al, for your presentation. Quite interesting, and the numbers are quite staggering, actually. I had no idea the magnitude, but this is really exciting for our community. My original question was going to be, do you have intentions on setting up a 7 acres retail store? And as you pointed out, you weren't allowed to apply into the lottery system. But do you see in the future a scenario where you may have a 7-acre store, or I liken it to the idea of, say, the Brewers Retail, which is owned by the 3 major brewers, and they get together and have a retail conglomerate themselves. Do you see something like that taking place, or is that part of your plans going forward?
I don't think that'll be our plan up here locally. We're going to try and encourage more tours and open to the public. It's going to be like the craft breweries around the area, and it's going to be the tours of the Niagara on the lake and that kind of thing with the wine connoisseurs and that. And the same thing is going to happen, I believe, with the cannabis industry, and we're certainly going to promote that along that. We're going to offer tours of our facility, visual tours. You're not going to be able to get it right in with the plants and so on and so forth. And then from there, we will send them out into communities, and hopefully with the support that the local retail stores would be selling our product, and hopefully we'd certainly be promoting our product, but to go to the local community to purchase it.
And if you had your way, would it be that, like the local craft brewers, you could buy the product right on site as you have the tour?
That would be ideal, but I don't know if they'll ever allow us to do that right on site. I'm not sure. They're not there yet with the regulations.
The winds of change are blowing, though, aren't they?
They certainly are. They certainly are.
Are there further questions, Councillor Smith, and then we'll get the Vice Deputy Mayor.
Thank you so much, Al. And just if we take a moment to reflect on the justification for the legalization of cannabis in Canada, a large portion of it was related to, as you said, eliminating the black market, if you will. Can you talk a little bit about whether there's been an establishment of a quality assurance program in the supply chain?
Oh, absolutely, there has. Yeah, we are very, very highly regulated and regularly inspected by Health Canada. So the retail store is going to fall under provincial legislation and regulation through the AGCO. We're regulated by Health Canada, and their inspectors are very thorough when they come to our site. And that is the one thing that they're looking for, is certainly the quality. So we're not allowed to use any pesticides, any of those kind of things. And it's an agricultural product. Things happen. Bugs like vegetables, they like plants, they like flowers. We're the same way, and we're not allowed to use any kind of pesticides or fungicides and those kind of things that we're not allowed totally. There's certain ones we can use, but there are ones that have been decided by Health Canada that they're safe to use. But most of it's very highly regulated, and that's what's not regulated on the black market. They use whatever will work to kill that bug or that fungus or whatever. So that's the advantage of it. And I think you're going to be able to buy your cannabis cheaper on the black market probably, but they can grow it a lot cheaper because they can use rate or whatever it takes to kill that. We can't do that. So we have to build around our facilities to control that, to be very, very technical, and that causes the difference. But people are willing to pay the extra if you know your health is at jeopardy. And it's something that you're ingesting, whether you're smoking it or eating it or whatever you might be doing, people will pay the difference. And I think it will make a big difference on the black market.
The Vice Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thanks for the presentation. Al, I attended that. I was on that tour 3 years ago, and it'd be nice to get back there 3 years later. I imagine it looks a whole lot different than it did 3
absolutely.
years ago.
And
so perhaps for the ones that haven't been on that tour, I don't know whether you'd entertain that kind of an idea.
We would certainly welcome any one of you or all of you as a group down to tour the facility. You're more than welcome to come.
Something maybe stop.
And we'll arrange that.
Really appreciate it. And this is nothing short of a good news story for our area. $80 million investment in town Kincardine, albeit, but it's still our area.
Oh, yes.
350 employees. And my question is, going to 500, another 150 employees. I know how much of a struggle it is in our own community to find, the labor market standpoint. What are the kinds of things you're doing, Al, to try and find the last 150? Because I mean, the last 100 was probably difficult. So what about the next 150? Well, far-reaching do you have to go to find the 150 people? What are you doing?
We're spreading it as far as we can, but we've kind of found our limits would be probably Owen Sound and down through Durham, Hanover Way, down to Godridge is kind of the boundary that people are willing to drive for the wage that we're, giving them. Sure. And that they can handle that. So that's kind of our boundary. Right. But there's a lot of programs now, that a lot of the community colleges and everything, they're coming up with courses on, this is all new territory. That was unheard of a few years ago. Sure. But now it's recognized in the universities and in the colleges, and certainly the agricultural colleges like Guelph and that. So they're coming up with courses that, and we can fast track these people, and they see the opportunities that are involved, and there are room for advancement.
Well, I'm really interested in too, in your willingness to sit in the roundtable discussion. I hope staff will take that into consideration too, because I think there's a lot of expertise sitting right next door with you people. I know you've been there from the beginning, and there's some very highly qualified people down there that be part of it. So I hope staff take that.
I think it would make it easier if we know that you're allowed to smoke marijuana or consume it at the beach in Port Elgin, but you're not allowed in Kincardine, or you're not allowed in Sauble Beach, or wherever it might do. If we can kind of get together and work together and get our rules in the same area, if we can agree on something, I think it would make a lot easier for the public to know, and for the police and everybody else that's involved.
My last point, the Province of Ontario has decided in their good wisdom to allow only 25 licenses, 50,000 population and over, which for the time being eliminates local business from setting up, because we're a lot smaller than 50,000. And I'm understanding, what's your thoughts around the cannabis shortage? Is that what you're hearing in terms of why the only 25 licenses? Is there a cannabis shortage in the province of Ontario across Canada for that matter?
Yes, there is. Yes. They're running out of our product in the stores. The stores that we are selling to now throughout the 7 provinces that we have agreements with, they're running out. They just can't keep it on the shelves. And I don't know who's consuming all this cannabis, but that's not my question. But they are. There just is a shortage, and they don't want stores to open and fail. They want stores to open and succeed, and there just is not enough product being grown right now and produced to supply it. It is. Hence, and that 25 rule is going to change as there's, I think there is something like 600 applications in queue at Health Canada for producers. And as those start to come on board, it's a slow, long, tedious process. As we know now at 7 Acres, here we are 4 years later, and we're still under construction, and we're still waiting for licenses. So it's a long process to go through. But as that does equal out and there'll be enough supply, then they're going to lower that 50,000 population demand, and we'll be able to have the brick and mortar store. It'll just take a little time.
Thanks very much for your presentation, Al. We appreciate it very much, and we're going to be making a decision on this a little later this evening, and discussion to come, but we're very excited to hear about the growth of 7 Acres, and wish you all the best and the whole company all the best.
All right, we're there to help. Thank you.
Very good. All right, so that moves us on to our second delegation, and that is from John Mann, and he's here to talk about the school bus business on Bruce Road 25. Mr. Mann.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've never heard of the black market running out of marijuana. 18 months ago, the applicant for the storing buses on Road 25 came to this town office and was told it'd be illegal to do so. So what did he do? He decided to store them anyway. He started storing them in August, a year after hearing that he couldn't store them legally. So he stores them in August on his property. And then not only that, he starts running a commercial school bus business out of that property. So not only is he applied for storage, he's actually running a commercial storage business. And then he comes to a planning meeting and finds out from this council that there's nothing the council can do about it. They might not like it, but he's violating the law, but there's nothing you can do about it. Except this council approved and drafted and approved and enacted a bylaw that says you can fine people that violate the zoning up to $50,000, and there can be daily fines. And you can go to court and cease and desist. So there's all kinds of avenues to penalize the violation of the law. So what does he do after the planning meeting in December? He adds another bright white light at his neighbors. So there are 3 bright lights now. And there, by one count, I made 28 to 30 buses. When I first saw them, it was 20. So there's no limit on the buses. And then at the planning meeting, you heard from neighbors in the neighborhood that are living in that neighborhood, and they say it has destroyed their quiet enjoyment of their neighborhood. Also at that meeting was the applicant. The applicant said nothing. He didn't come to you and say, this is why I'm violating the law. This is why it's an appropriate amendment to the planning zoning that is very hard to amend for the residential area. You didn't hear anything from him. So all you've heard is bad things from the neighbors, saying it's destroyed their quiet enjoyment. There's no sidewalks for pedestrians and bikes. Decades there's been none. So it's a danger in that respect. Dorfman was enlisted by this council and allowed this council to eliminate the Unifor 8-space parking lot on Shipley within the same neighborhood. And that was just 8 parking spaces, not a commercial school bus business. So here and he didn't apply for an amendment until October 29 of last year, 2018. More than a year, about 15 months after he heard it's illegal to do so. Well, why did he apply? I mean, he's doing it anyway. Why would he apply? Well, because people started complaining, and I guess the town said, you better apply. Well, instead of trying to enforce the darn law. So what's he going to do? And we're not even done with it yet. He applied in October 29, 2018, planning meeting, not till December 17, 2018. The neighbors weren't even notified by the town until December of 2018 to make comments. Oh, is that possible? So I asked at the planning meeting for an immediate cessation of this illegal act. How we can have neighbors like this is beyond me. Why neighbors would do this to people is beyond me. But to allow it to happen and then to do nothing about it. And so, as I understand it, it's not on until next week at the planning committee meeting. And then as I understand it, it's put over till February 11 to make a decision on it. In the meantime, he goes on his merry way and destroys these people's neighborhood. Illegally he does it. How is that possible? And let's assume February 11 or whenever you do it, we dismiss his, we don't approve it. Well, he'll just keep doing it because he already heard from you. You can't do anything about it. And then, well, if he doesn't do anything about it, once you say you don't approve it, then you got to take him to court. Oh, that costs money. Lawyers, oh my God. You don't want that. And how long does that take? Years to get into court. And in any event, how this happens without any penalty, without any fine, on a daily basis, knowing about it for so long. And this applicant had to make parking available. He had to, I don't think he asphalted it, but as I understand, he put a lot of ground fill in and so on. And he's got it's heavily regulated. He's got a speed limit sign, a stop sign. And so it's heavily regulated. And the bus businesses, student driver, I think is one of them, and I don't know the actual names of the businesses. But how can they enter a contract that seems to be illegal if it's not allowed by zoning? How can the contract itself be liable? And is the town responsible for that as well, aiding and abetting that? And who ensures an illegal contract. So is there any insurance on this? Well, I would find that unlikely. And whether any contracts are likely is also, I wouldn't think they were legal. So in any event, why a neighbor would do this to other neighbors, why he wouldn't check with them first, why he wouldn't try to include them and see what can be worked out, if anything, but nothing. At 4:30, I just happened to be driving down that road and 5 buses passed me. All right, 5 buses went in there. It is 4 times at least in and out, starting very early in the morning and destroying the quiet enjoyment of the neighbors in this neighborhood. The primary thing is, how can somebody apply for this? But before applying, actually know he's doing it illegal and do it anyway. And then when he applies, he doesn't even stand up to support it. In my view, not one of you should approve this. And it's a disqualifier right off the bat. But primarily also because the neighbors' quiet enjoyment is ruined, and the Dorfman expert opinion on the 8th space thing down in the same neighborhood at Unifor already is, in my view, controls this tenfold because it's a commercial school bus operation. So, and I think you should be able to do it now. I mean, what other facts do you need? This isn't some sort of, who done it. He did it. He knows he's doing it illegal, and by actually applying, he is saying he is operating unlawfully. Otherwise, why would he apply? He's applying for an amendment that he's already saying, I'm doing it anyway. If that's the way it's going to be in Port Elgin, it's a sad day in Port Elgin. I appreciate the time to make my points. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mann. This is a matter that will be before the Planning Committee in 7 days from today, and so I'm sure Council will have lots of comments to make on it at that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. I wonder if there's any questions. Thank you.
So that'll move us on then to item 5.3, Environmental Services and Transportation. We have a staff report on the Concession 6 water main and sewer extension, and the report will be from the Director of Development and Infrastructure.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. When a new water main or sanitary sewer is put into a road with new services extended to the lots, the Municipal Act allows us to recover costs from those residents. This request for Concession 6 came in a number of years ago. There were individuals out there that did not have access to drinking water. Their wells couldn't be dug deep enough to get that. So we looked through costing and came up with a plan through the Clean Water Wastewater Fund to get funding in, and brought the cost down to the numbers that you see in the bylaw. The sanitary sewer extension is for mobile home Saugeen Acres, so that they can be on gravity sewer as well instead of on septic. So from this, our next step forward is to bring the bylaw to you for your approval so that we can collect the funds. They have all been receiving communication throughout the process and have recently received the letter with the final number.
Thank you very much. I'll read the recommendation, then we can take any questions or comments. It's recommended that Council approve a bylaw to recover costs from benefiting parties for the installation of water main and sanitary sewers on Concession 6, complete with services to the property line. Questions or comments from the committee? The Vice Deputy Mayor.
Just a quick comment. I think this is a good news story too. I think any property that's able to be hooked up with those kinds of services is a good thing, Amanda. So work, and in fact, there's some funding that we were able to access was a bonus too. The question I have is the water and sewer line both now run as far up to the Lamont Pit entrance driveway now or not, or are we quite there?
With you, Mr. Mayor, the water service is brought that far, but not the sanitary. The water, that owner of that property has received a letter as well asking for them to pay their.
Anything further from the committee? Yeah, Councillor Schreider.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. How many properties is there, Amanda?
There are, say there's 8. One is the Lamont Pit, so there's us. There's one that is receiving what we call a deferred benefit. They aren't hooking up, but if a planning application comes into their property later, then they will.
And then, so just so I'm clear then, is that, do they have the choice of the payment either all at once or within 10 years, or is that the municipality's choice?
Every resident has that opportunity to do it over the 10-year program. The deferred benefit would come at the time when that application is done. That decision would be made at that property, but most likely they would still have that opportunity. They probably wouldn't take it because they'll be doing more service.
Right. And then just one last question, sorry, is that if they choose to do it over 10 years and if that property sells, then how are those funds recouped?
I believe it's through an agreement and registered on title so that it carries through with their successors.
Anything further from the committee? This was this project, particularly the water main project, was one of the first concerns I heard on council back in 2007 to see the extension of water up concession 6. It's an outstanding project to see completed to this stage, and for $6,000 per property for sanitary sewer and water, it's not. It's hard to overstate how good a deal that is compared to some folks on other projects across this municipality who have paid substantially more. So so congratulations on bringing it in the way you guys have, and really looking forward to getting these agreements set and having those people on water and sewer. So you've heard the recommendation. Oh, sorry, pardon me, Councillor Mayette.
Just quickly, thank you for, and sorry for being late, Mr. Mayor, but thank you. Does the total amount quoted in your report, roughly $440,000, does that cover the outstanding work that just to be done, namely the paving?
For you, and yes, and just to correct, the lots are only getting water services, but the mobile home sogging is just getting sanitary. But yes, so the 400,000 was the entire project. The municipal portion of that is 108,000, and of that 108, we are divvying it up through the benefiting owners. The remainder, 300,000, is paid for by the federal and provincial government.
And that includes the asphalt that you have to go down.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Still a good deal, even if it's just water. Anyway, we've heard the recommendation. All in favor? Carried. So that moves us then on to communications and petitions for committee of the whole information. There's 4 items there. Any questions from members or comments with regard to any of the petitions? Councillor Rich?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I was looking at the Women's House letter, and they do ask for a donation, or I'm not exactly sure what they're asking for. They're asking for some money to be included in the budget. How do we normally address those issues?
Well, when the operating budget returns for council's consideration, members of council are empowered to amend the budget, and if you would like to consider a contribution to Women's House, you can certainly bring that forward at that time. Further questions, the Vice Deputy Mayor?
The the Port Elgin Tourist Association letter, is that the Port Elgin Tourist Association will be dissolving. The Pumpkin Fest is interested in taking over that operation. So, Mr. Mayor, is this something that we'll be asking staff to come back with a report and trying to determine, is this going to be another 5-year agreement? Are we going to agree to it at all? Is this something more shorter term, which I would agree to perhaps on a 1-year basis until we find out what exactly is going on with the development of the train station lands? So will this be directed back to staff to come back with the recommendation to council? Is that what's going to happen with this one?
I think, as you're aware, this area of the Port Elgin Main Beach is being considered for some future changes, and my understanding, and the CAO can correct me if I'm wrong, is that this is the continuation of the flea market is being done on a short-term basis, a 1-year basis for now, and that that will give us the opportunity then to consider next steps going forward, and I suspect there'll be more progress on as we consider that area in the coming months. Okay. Anything further? Okay, so if there's nothing on those, then we'll move down to reports of municipal councillors, and you see my report there. It's there for your information. I guess I'll look around if there's any questions of me on the report? Any? Fine, then we'll move on to report of department heads and 2 reports. And first one is the election report, and I assume the clerk would like to speak to this. The clerk.
Certainly, and thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, I have provided a post-election accessibility report for the election. It is there just for your information. It provides comments with regards to the voting method of the internet and the telephone voting. The voting period for the election was extended, as you know, at the front end and at the back end of the election, resulting in 12 days of voting. The report outlines a few different issues that arose, and it also identified how those issues were resolved and addressed. There's some voter statistics there for you by age. And overall, Saugeen Shores had a voter turnout of 49.51%. So this is comparable to other municipalities. In some cases, it's even slightly higher than others. So overall, the voting took place relatively seamlessly for the internet voting, and at no time was the security and the integrity of the election in jeopardy. The accessibility component of the report is a statutory requirement to report on the barriers and how accessibility was provided throughout the election. So there was a number of issues or items that were provided to our electors to make sure that there were no accessibility barriers. Any that were identified to us, the election staff addressed in a timely manner. As accessibility is always important to us, so we're always on the with the mindset that we have room to improve for accessibility issues. So as part of our follow-up to the election, we will be conducting a survey. This will be posted on the municipal website for feedback from the general public. Based on our timing, I would expect that the survey will be posted about approximately midweek next week. So that feedback will be provided back to council just as their information in the future.
Thank you very much. Questions of the clerk? Councillor Mayette, then we'll get Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Linda, thanks for the report, and it was good to see the numbers, participation numbers where they were, and I think it did go relatively seamlessly other than the last glitch at the end. One of the main criticisms that I heard, and I'm probably not alone in that, is the access to the internet is not essentially widespread in the more rural regions of our county, and some of the people who are maybe not have ready access to the internet experience problems if they didn't have somebody who would take them in here to use the kiosks that were set up here, which by the way did work well. I helped a few people do that. But I would just ask that when you do the follow-up survey, that perhaps a paper component of that survey be made available, at least for people that wish to come in and take one and compile it that way, not just online, because that just defeats the point of their criticism. Thank you.
Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also wanted to commend the clerk and her department members for all of their work during the election, and there were certainly problems that were beyond your control, and you did a great job of trying to handle that as quickly and efficiently as possible. And my question was Councillor Mayette's question, so thank you.
Further questions of the clerk? See any? I appreciate the report. I was wondering, I just was reading in the press this evening some information from another municipality about some outcome to the settlement on voting company. Is there any update on that at this point?
At this point, the town of Saugeen Shores has not signed off on a negotiated settlement with respect to that. The news report was for that particular municipality, which was reporting a 20% reduction, that type of thing. At this point in time, I have not signed off on settling.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to the survey coming out next week, and obviously every election comes with some lessons learned, and learn some lessons from this election, and looking forward to spending some time reviewing that over the coming weeks and also the next couple of years. So that moves us on to item 2, which is an information report on the water inspection report and the Director of Infrastructure and Development.
Thank you, and through you. This one, I just couldn't wait till the water report that comes out later in the spring to let you all know that Aqua was able to get a 100% inspection report on their inspection in October. It was a detailed report, or detailed inspection, just like the ones for the last 3 years. So they've stepped up their game in the last 3 years, and we're very happy with the service that we're getting from Aqua and proud of them to have received the 100% score.
Well, comments from the committee. Vice Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I just think it's a good time to thank Amanda and particularly Adam Stanley. I know staff worked extremely hard in partnering with Aqua, and they did step up to the plate, Amanda, and I mean, inspection rating of 100% and 0 non-compliances is, I mean, from where it was 2 or 3 years ago, come a long ways, and safe drinking water in the town of Saugeen Shores. They're doing a fabulous job, and I just wanted to publicly commend staff and Aqua for stepping up to the plate and getting things done.
Thanks for those comments. Certainly agreed. Further comments? Thank you very much, Amanda, and certainly pass along our thanks and congratulations to the staff at Aqua. All right, and with that, we have no other business, so that moves us on to adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Oh, sorry, pardon me. Thank God, thanks for great that Linda's here. Announcements by members. This is a new or a return of a once bygone segment where we'll go and ask individual members if they have announcements they'd like to make, and I'm going to begin with the Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, just a notice to Council that in 3 weeks, the 1st of February, the Saugeen Shores Girls Silver Stick will be taking place in all the surrounding municipalities. Southampton, Port Elgin, Tiverton, and Paisley are booked to their capacities. It's great hockey. If you get a chance to come on out, watch some local hockey talent as they look after supporting Saugeen Shores.
Anything from the Vice Deputy Mayor this evening? From you, Councillor Schreider, Councillor Smith, Councillor Rich. Councillor Rich.
I'll stick with the hockey theme. Playoffs have started. Come on out and support the local teams. The rep teams are all going through their playoff series right now for OMHA, and they need your support.
Thank you. Councillor Grace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Thursday, I attended a presentation at the Bruce County Museum Thursday night by students of St. Mary's School in Owen Sound. Of course, a number of our Saugeen Shores students attend that school as well. And it was a presentation on family genealogy projects that they had been researching for several months. And you know, I just wanted to commend the students and staff of St. Mary's, as well as our Bruce County Museum director and staff, for their support of this project. It's great to see how much the museum supports our community and our schools.
Councillor Carr, Councillor Mayette.
Never short of words. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Honestly, over the holiday season, it's been pretty low key, but I did have the chance to spend some time with my daughter's boyfriend, who just got back from Latvia on January the 1st as a deployment with the Canadian Armed Forces, and I was proud of his work, and I got to spend some time debriefing and talking about what he experienced over there and what's going on in foreign international relations, and it was quite interesting. And he also received a package while he was there from the Port Elgin Legion Branch 340, and he was able to go in and thank them for that while he was here.
Thank you for that. I just had one thing. On Sunday, I was privileged to be at the opening of the new exhibit at the museum, the exhibition of the work of Jane Champagne, one of Saugeen Shores' most remarkable citizens, I would say, and I would just encourage all of you and every citizen of Saugeen Shores and anybody anywhere who may be listening to my voice, which is probably not that many people, but a few people anyway, to make your way to the museum by all means and see that exhibit. It really is outstanding. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Rich. All in favour? We're adjourned till 25 after the hour.
The preceding program was brought to you by Bruce Telecom.